There are many different aspects of photography. However, there's 5 of them that I consider to be the pillars or foundation of my work. Every time I get photos like this, I'm thinking about those 5 aspects. So, if you're wondering what to focus on when you're out and about shooting, then this video is for you. Hi, my name is Jorge. Welcome. In this channel we merge creativity and productivity to try to live a more fulfilling life. Today I would like to talk about the aspects of photography that affect my production process. These aspects are set in stone. I don't really change them after the fact. Not much, at least. More on that later. And the main reason why is because I shoot with intentionality. I try to get as much as I can in camera. I made videos before about my shooting style and conditions, link in the description below if you haven't watched it already. And now that we got that out of the way, these are the 5 aspects of photography that I think about every single time before I press that release shutter and capture life. Let's get started. Composition and aspect ratios are 2 different aspects, but they go hand in hand and they're really extremely important to me. In fact, I made a dedicated video just about composition and how my cinema background inspires my photography. Link in the description below if you haven't watched it already. But to summarize that video, I treat my photographs like scenes of a film, so I always compose with that in mind. And as you can see, I always shoot in the landscape orientation, mainly 3:2 or 16:9. But I choose the aspect ratio before I take the photograph. And listen, I might do a quick angle orientation here and there, or just a small crop to center an object or a subject, but never more than just that. You'll never see me do something like this and have the audacity to call it a good photo. So composition and aspect ratios and pretty much everything else on this list is set in stone before I take the photo. Number 3. Lighting and exposure are key as well. This is one of the many aspects you will end up messing up the most at the beginning. One of the very first things you should learn if you're new to photography is the exposure triangle and how to read a histogram. After you get over the basics, then you can manually expose your photos. You can choose to protect your shadows or your highlights. You can make your own decisions. But you should always ask yourself, am I exposing properly? Are you aware where your key light is? Are you aware of the position of the sun if you're shooting outside? Things like that. I personally like to embrace the shadows and expose for the highlights. I will always manually dial my exposure to get the look that I want in camera, even if the histogram disagrees with me. Number 4, focus. Sounds pretty obvious, right? Make sure your photos are in focus. But the reality is that focusing is a lot harder than it sounds. Focusing is the aspect of photography that you will mess up the most when learning or at the beginning of your journey. Especially when shooting subjects that are constantly moving, like street photography, event photography, kids, pets, you name it. In a photo like this, you have a few seconds to react and get the shot. So you need to be comfortable with the frame, the subjects, and be prepared for it. Visualize the distance in your mind. Like I said at the beginning, shoot with intentionality. Get familiar with the focusing system of your camera and understand what system works best for the type of photography you're trying to achieve. For example, for street photography, you never, ever shoot in autofocus mode. Autofocus single or autofocus continuous. This is a huge mistake. By doing that, you're letting the camera make decisions for you. Doesn't matter how new or fast or great your camera is. It will most likely miss the shot. Shoot in manual mode and control the focus with the lens ring. Or set up your AFL button as a back button focus. So when you press it on a subject or a spot that you want, it will focus on that and you just prepare the shot. So you are the one thinking, you are the one taking control, you are the one nailing the focus on the shot. And it will work, even with fast moving subjects like a bicycle, for example. The 5th and final aspect is color, or lack thereof. Like I mentioned before, I only use JPEGs. I shoot both in RAW and JPEG, and that's Probably the smart thing to do, but I never touch the raw files. So I don't change colors later. Color, or the lack thereof, is something that I consciously choose before I take a shot. The Fujifilm cameras have incredible color science, film simulations, and tonal range. And oddly enough, the color from the older cameras seems a bit more pleasing to the eye than the newer ones. And to be clear, I don't mean you're a heretic if you adjust white balance later, or if you just add a little contrast or saturation, or just tweak the colors a little bit here and there. No. But I will never take a photo in color and then just change it to black and white, or vice versa, just because. Or just shoot raw and be lazy about it because I can fix it later and I can apply simulations later. No. That would only prove that I was not intentional enough when I took the photo. Maybe I didn't think about it enough, or maybe I didn't have a strong, solid vision in my head of what the photo should look like. I use color to bring out the details of the frame, the scene, and the subject. I use black and white to focus on a feeling and a subject as well. It's all about what matters in the frame. Really think about color. Don't try to fix it in post. Don't spend money on useless LUTs or presets and expect the photo to look exactly like you wanted it. You need to know what you wanted in advance and try to achieve it yourself. And hopefully you're starting to see the pieces fall into place. The aspect ratio informs my composition, and those two inform the tone and the mood of the photo, aka the exposure. And those three aspects inform the feeling that I want to achieve in the photo. That feeling dictates where I want you to look, the focusing, and if color or black and white suits the scene better. And what that really means is that no aspect is more important than the others. They're all extremely critical, important to the feeling and the end result. You might initially focus on some more than others because some of these do require technical knowledge, like your exposure triangle and framing and aspect ratios and things like that, but eventually you will realize that all of these are extremely important and you really need to pay attention to all of them. So think about what aspects are important to you, get proficient with those, learn them well so they're second nature and you're always thinking about those before you press the release button. So there it is. Those are the top 5 aspects of photography that I'm always thinking about before I press the release button. But what do you think? Do you have a similar approach? Do you have an aspect you would like to add to that list? Leave a comment down below. But that is it for today's video. If you found this video helpful or valuable, then please like and subscribe, and also follow me here on Instagram. Thank you very much for watching, for giving me your time and your energy, and good luck with your creative process.